Somewhere right now, the next great rapper is deleting verses from their phone, convinced their life is too boring to write about. Another is staring at a blank page, trying to invent stories about a street life they never lived, while their real experiences, the ones that could actually connect with millions, stay buried in silence. It's the greatest tragedy in hip-hop. Authentic voices being silenced by the myth that you need some wild backstory to make real music. But here's what they don't tell you. Your boring life might be exactly what the rap game is missing. Because while everyone else is busy faking stories about mansions and shootouts, you've got something more powerful: truth. With that all said, in today's episode of How to Rap, we're breaking down the 4-step formula that turns everyday experiences into bars that hit harder than any fake story ever could, as we teach you what to rap about if your life is boring in 4 steps. Now, before we begin, if you're watching this as an up-and-coming rapper who is unsure if their life story is entertaining enough to start a career off of, the best way to instantly turn your regular life in a professional-grade song-making factory is to learn how to freestyle, so that you can have any topic rhyme in sync with the beat in a witty fashion and gain instant fans. If that is your dream, be sure to click the first link in the video description to get our best-selling course, Freestyle Fortnite, which will teach you how to master the art of freestyle rap in 2 weeks or less. Check that out below, but without further ado, let's get into the first step. Step number 1 is, before you write off your life as too boring for rap, you need to take a hard look at what you think is interesting in the first place. You see, the idea that rappers need some wild or dangerous background to make hot music is nothing but an old stereotype from the 90s. There's zero proof that today's greatest artists, from Kendrick to Nicki Minaj, lived any kind of crazy lives before blowing up in music. What makes a life interesting isn't about body counts or bank accounts. It's about how you tell your story. A lot of new rappers get stuck thinking they need to have grown up super poor or live some kind of outlaw life to have credibility, but that's just not real. Look at J. Cole, who graduated college with honors and worked as a bill collector during the recession. Not exactly the stuff of gangster movies, but he turned those regular experiences into powerful music that connected with millions. So your so-called boring life is probably way more relatable than you think. Nicki Minaj was a waitress at Red Lobster, and Kanye West folded clothes at the Gap, but they flipped those everyday experiences into some of their hardest songs. That means that boring 9-to-5 job you're working is literally no different than what Eminem rapped about on Rock Bottom. Those suburban struggles you think nobody wants to hear about are similar to when Childish Gambino built an entire career starting from that same place. The real truth is that being genuine hits harder than making up fake stories. Every time you felt fed up at work, every awkward moment with someone you liked, every small win and L you've taken, these are real experiences that fans can connect with. Your regular life isn't holding you back. It's actually your biggest advantage as a storyteller because it's real. Right now, you need to grab a notepad and write down 3 things about your life that you think make it too boring for rap. Maybe it's living in the suburbs, working a regular job, or never having been in serious trouble. Look at that list and realize that for each boring part of your life, there's a successful rapper who came from that exact same place and used those experiences to fuel their come up. Think about it. Would you rather hear another fake story about a life the artist never lived, or real bars about stuff you can actually relate to? The most powerful music comes from keeping it real, not trying to live up to some played-out stereotype of what a rapper's life should look like. When you start seeing your normal life as a goldmine of real stories instead of a problem, you've taken the first big step toward finding your voice as an artist. Now that we've flipped your whole view on what makes a life worth rapping about, let's dive into step 2 and learn how to turn your everyday experiences into straight fire on the mic. The biggest trick to making your regular life sound dope in rap is all about how you phrase it. When you start looking at the songs from the biggest rappers, you'll notice they're often just talking about normal stuff in creative ways. Take Eminem's track If I Had, he wasn't talking about anything crazy, just being tired of wearing the same hat and working a trash job for $5.50 an hour. Drake's whole song, How About Now, is just about a girl who didn't want to listen to his music back in the day and preferred Ludacris instead. These aren't wild stories about shootouts or million-dollar deals. They're just regular problems that got transformed into hot tracks through creative writing. The secret sauce is taking your everyday L's and wins and turning them into something bigger than life. If you hate your 9 to 5, don't just say, "I hate my job." Paint a picture of your crazy boss and turn that office into a wild scene like Kanye did with Spaceship. When Kanye rapped about working at the Gap, he didn't just complain, he created this whole fantasy about escaping on a spaceship and getting revenge on his managers. That's the kind of creative thinking that can turn a boring retail job into a chart-topping hit. You can even take the most basic parts of your day and flip them into something epic. Maybe your morning commute becomes a daily battle against time, and that classroom or office is your personal coliseum. The key is to find the drama and emotion in these everyday moments. Every job has conflict between coworkers, with customers, with the boss, and conflict is the fuel that powers the best stories in rap. And your suburban neighborhood might seem boring, but it's got its own politics, rivalries, and stories waiting to be told. The point isn't to lie about your life, it's about finding the epic scale in everyday situations. You're not just a regular person going through regular stuff, you're the main character in your own movie, and these boring moments are your plot points. When you start looking at your life this way, suddenly that regular job becomes your origin story and that daily grind becomes your hero's journey. And with that, it becomes easier and easier to structure your songs into something compelling, which is what we discuss in step number 3. The rap game has changed a lot in the streaming era, and you need to know how to structure your songs to keep people hooked. Modern attention spans are getting shorter, with the average hit song now being 20 seconds shorter than it was just 5 years ago. This means you've got to come in hot and keep the energy up from the jump. The old way of doing 8-bar intros before getting to the action isn't going to cut it anymore. Instead, you want to cut that intro down to 4 bars max, just enough time to set the vibe before you start spitting. You've got exactly 30 seconds to grab your listeners' attention before they might skip to the next track. That means you need to hit them with your catchiest part, usually your hook within that first half minute. Think about it like a movie trailer. You want to show them the best stuff right away to keep them in their seats. The structure of your verses needs to be smart too. When you're talking about your regular life experiences, you want to start with the relatable stuff that hooks people in. Break down your verse like this. First 4 bars set up the situation, next 8 bars tell the story, and the last 4 bars hit them with something catchy leading into your hook. Those last 4 bars before the hook are crucial. They need to be simple and memorable, almost like a mini hook themselves. Look at how Kendrick structures his songs on Damn. He gets to the point quicker than he did on his earlier albums. Your song doesn't need to be long to be good. Some of the biggest hits in rap right now are under 3 minutes. When you're writing about your everyday life, think about making each section count. A verse about your boring job doesn't need 16 bars of complaints. Hit them with the problem, the emotion, and the punchline, then move to your hook. The hook itself should be something people can catch on to after hearing it just once. Play your finished song for someone and see if they can repeat the hook back to you after one listen. If they can't, you might need to make it simpler. Modern rap songs are like quick shots of espresso instead of long cups of coffee. They need to hit hard and fast. Even the most lyrical rappers are adapting to this new format, proving you can still tell your story without dragging it out. But now that you know how to structure your song for maximum impact, let's move into step 4, where you'll test if the choices you made will resonate with the people. Now that you've written your songs about regular life and made them interesting, it's time to make sure they actually hit hard with listeners. The real test of whether you've turned your boring life into hot bars isn't about what you think. It's about how other people react. The first thing you want to do is play your song for someone who's never heard it before and watch their reaction closely. Don't tell them it's your song at first. Just play it and see if they naturally start nodding their head or tapping their feet. After one listen, ask them if they can repeat your hook back to you. If they can't remember your hook after just one play, that's a sign you need to make it catchier. The most successful songs about regular life are the ones where people can sing along by the second or third time the hook comes around. Think about songs like Kanye's Spaceship. Even though it's about working at the Gap, people could sing that hook instantly. Your friends and family can be good test listeners, but you need to make it clear you want honest feedback, not just support. Ask them specific questions like, what was the song about? And what was your favorite line? If they can't answer these basic questions, you might need to make your story clearer. Pay attention to which parts of your verses make people react. Those little smiles or oh moments tell you what's hitting. The parts where people zone out or look confused, those are the spots that need work. Remember that the goal isn't to impress people with complex lyrics, it's to make them feel something about your regular life experiences. Try playing your song in different environments too, in the car, through headphones, on phone speakers. Your track needs to sound good everywhere because you never know how people will be listening to it. Keep a notebook or use your phone to write down all the feedback you get. Don't get defensive about criticism, use it to make your next song even better. The best rappers, even when they're talking about regular life stuff, test their songs on real people before they put them out. Remember, every classic song about regular life started as just another track that got better through feedback and revision. Now you've got all the tools you need to turn your regular life into rap gold. You know how to find your stories, structure them right, make them entertaining, and test them until they're perfect. And don't let anyone tell you your life is too boring to rap about. Thanks for joining us for another episode of How to Rap, and we'll see you on the next one.